One more time, yes, straight. Colson, on here, please. Colson, here.
So, do you have your photos now? Can we start? No, only if there's something in another language, but you don't have to use it because everything will be in English probably. And if not, it's on there, the English translation. So, hello, welcome to the press conference here at Panorama of the film Taurus, and I'm very happy to introduce our guests to you. I'm starting from your left. Please welcome the actor, also executive producer. He also did the music for the film, Colson Baker. Welcome to Berlin. And the wonderful actress, Maddie Hasson. Welcome. And next to me, this is the director, the screenwriter, and executive producer, Tim Sutton. It's good to have you back. Yes, and I'm starting, of course, with a question to Tim. Your film is so impressive and so authentic and, of course, touching. And I wonder how you made up the story and who you had in mind when you wrote the story.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I have been fascinated with musicians and music and what their lives are like, especially certain musicians who have troubles and demons, whether that's addiction or whether that's just not feeling at home in the world. I made a movie called Memphis, which was about a spiritual journey of a musician. And I wanted to make something that followed the last days of someone, but not have it be just something that was a downer, but something that showed all the different emotions that go through the creative process of a certain talented musician. So I met Colson on the set of The Last Sun, which is a Western we made. And I think both of us kind of immediately trusted each other and knew that the other one wanted to go deep. Mm-hmm. The thing that Colson brought to the story was pure authenticity. You can have an actor play a musician, and it will always be an actor playing a musician. But to have him go in and kind of live in this gray area between a fictional character and something that's very much himself was something that inspired both of us and inspired the script.
Mm-hmm. So Colson, were you involved in the development of the script too, or of the story then?
Yeah, I think the script started out as something different when it was first sent, and then we almost were shying away from it being autobiographical, it felt like at first, and then I think it just became me. And Tim?
I'll give a quick example. I wrote a scene where he's interviewed by someone, by a radio personality. And I wrote the whole scene out, and there's a certain vibe and a certain information I wanted to get across. But when we shot the scene, both Colson and I were told the interviewer, who's not an actor, who's actual an interviewer, to just interview him, and whatever happened, happened. Because that authenticity is more important than the actual specific information in the script. So there are other scenes a lot like that, where there's a script, there's a certain bit of information that we want to get across, but how we got to that became more natural and more a process between the two of us on set.
That's so interesting that you say that with this scene, because I wrote this scene down because I found it so interesting with this interview, and Colson is saying so beautiful things about music, and so it was exactly, I felt it was very authentic. Can you say something, maybe also Maddie can say something about these female characters around this figure of Colson who are helping in a way, or sometimes just going with him a certain amount of way. So maybe Maddie, you can say something about your character in the film.
Yeah, I think it's much easier for my character to take care of another person than to pay attention to her own baggage. And so that's why she's so very committed to him. And they have an odd, it's much like your relationship with your assistant, Olivia.
Yeah, and I think with the women around me, it's very, very strong influences on who I am now, which is maybe opposite of how I was growing up, with the view that I had as a young man who felt, abandoned by the woman figure in his life / my parental figures, period. So, yeah, this film was almost like very cathartic for me. I got to have realizations and on-screen therapy for things that I never really dealt with, that I never like flushed out. And my favorite part of the film was getting to just put the hair over my face. I never really let people connect with my eyes, which is kind of opposite of how I am in this character that's sitting in front of you, like I'm very uncomfortable right now, right? Like, because people judge me in a way that they just skip past the part of me being like human, and they stick me as a character all the time, which maybe I presented myself to the world as, but I feel like maybe people will get to actually know me through this film, and that's something that I like sit and get very depressed about, feeling so misunderstood or so outcasted based off of a character that maybe I just used as a shell to defend myself against or against like how I viewed myself growing up, right? Like I didn't look at myself as like worthy of anything. So maybe this is me finally introducing myself to people, like the me that these guys got to know off screen.
Yeah. Also, I think people know you as Machine Gun Kelly, which is like tough and cool, but the person that I met is very, I think that's why the women in your life really want to take care of you, because you're like a big, sensitive kid.
I want to also just add that you know, Colson, and I don't want to speak for him, but we've talked about this. You know, when I met Colson, there was an opportunity for him to become the biggest rock star in the world, or there was an opportunity for him to kind of take himself into oblivion. And I think one of the things that has happened through making this film is that he was able to explore what that oblivion would look like, but through performance, so he doesn't have to do it in real life. So there's a choice made, and you know, I'm ecstatic with the results of the film, but I'm also ecstatic with the results of my friend, you know, and where he is, and what this film represents in his life.
I think there's a kind of second layer in the film that is, of course, the music, who is so important to tell the story. And Colson, you did the music, and I was really impressed also with this little tune that is carrying all the story. You know, this very short thing that is so important, and we have it all the time in our ears, and everything is based on it. So can you say something about finding this kind of melody that has the power to carry all the story?
Yeah, it's interesting that melody that is used throughout the whole film was actually from, I believe it was like a 28-minute take where Tim didn't stop rolling the camera, and it was just me in a studio in a live room, bouncing back and forth through instruments, and I picked up a guitar and I just kept playing this one line over and over again. And I was so high that I didn't realize that I kept playing it over and over again. and
Authenticity.
Yeah, I completely forgot what time was and that cameras were rolling, and I was like really into it. I don't know what frequency or whatever it was hitting, it kept hypnotizing me. Mm-hmm. And plus I was so high that I just fell into like a eternal time loop. And that became the soundtrack to the movie. Like Tim, you know, the movie starts with how that session started. I would just like, I had the guitar and I was like, all right, Tim, just let me know. Which is so out of character for what's supposed to happen. And you know, in a movie, you're not supposed to acknowledge a director or acknowledge
I changed that.
Yeah, and like he used it to start the movie off, and that eternal time loop became kind of the hypnotic frequency that keeps drawing the viewer in. And you know, I always am so fascinated with how a certain hertz can make you fall asleep, or you know, it can make you relaxed, or it can help transcendental meditation, or it can do all the. And so like, I don't know what hertz we were hitting with that constant guitar loop, but felt like, I don't know, felt like we hit something right, because
Definitely. I mean, one of the things that the movie is about the search for a song, you know, a song that becomes a requiem, you know. But right off the bat, Colson was like, if the music is canned or if the music is fake, the movie fails, and I'll walk out and I'll hate you. And so the idea is that the music had to be real. And when you search for a song, when you search for a muse, it doesn't come in movies like Walk the Line, or in movies like Ray, where it comes magically within the plot perfectly. It doesn't come like that. It's messier, it's slower, it's stranger. And so the key, and the key to my filmmaking in general, is to give the people space to be real people and to find what they need to find and shape it from there. So when he's in the studio, we're not putting together like this beautiful music montage that makes you like stand up and cheer. Instead, we make you wait, and we make you live through the process of what it's like to really find your muse. And I think we do that in that scene.
Yes, we really get curious about this little part of music coming together to form a song. And I also like the rest of the musical choice. For example, this scene where you, Cole, are dancing, and there's this old soul song. I was researching it. I was thinking, of course, it was Sam Cooke, because Sam Cooke was mentioned earlier, but it wasn't. It was a song with Herb Alpert on it.
We couldn't afford Sam Cooke.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I wanted to ask you that. But it's really beautiful, and it shows so much that there's something. To me, it shows that in this character there's something very, in a positive way, old-fashioned to things about love in an old-fashioned way. I really appreciate that. Can you say something about this scene?
That's the most romantic scene you will see in movies this year, without question. Without question. And I think it's a couple different things. I mean, that is some of my taste as far as the needle drops go. I love old soul. But I think it's about creating an old soul song to match an old soul. And I think Colson is an old soul, and I think his character is an old soul. And I think that there's you know, there's rock and roll, and there's rap, and there's all sorts of cool shit in this movie. But when it comes down to just slow dancing, sometimes you gotta go into the deep cuts.
I thought that was Sam Cooke the whole time until just now.
I'm sorry.
I know, there's a take where he's like, "What? You don't like Sam Cooke?" And I'm like, "It's not Sam Cooke."
But it's with Herb Alpert, which is very funny. Maybe Cole and you, Maddie, can say something about playing together. You have this really special relationship in this film, and maybe you can say something about what you learned of each other or about your relation in the film.
She takes great Polaroid pictures.
That was just today.
But you sent
You
me
have such a short memory of
Yeah.
me. You've forgotten our whole time together. What am I to you? Nothing? Our relationship came really naturally, I think. I think the dynamic that we had on screen is similar, sort of, to the dynamic that we had in life.
Yeah, like supportive.
Yeah,
Like-
we were both very supportive of each other and very loose. And like I was saying before, Colson is like a sweet, sensitive, big kid, and you want to take care of him. So it made my job very easy, because all Ilana wants to do is take care of you and be there for you and make sure you're okay. And you do elicit that reaction. I did feel that way.
Yeah, she's.
I was like, you good? You good, buddy?
You're also great at yelling too.
So we're both good at yelling,
Yeah.
I think. I loved that. Well, any chance to yell, God.
Well, I mean, that's what creates the weird equality in their relationship too, which is that she hates him, but she loves him. It's like true family, where, you know, you can just not like someone, but you're gonna do anything for them at the same time.
There's also a sad element to the relationship as well, because they work together, so it's almost like she's his only friend, but she's getting paid. So is it like his only friend that he has is only there because she's getting paid, but then you see that there is a love for him. But it's an interesting dichotomy, and it just leaves, it's a very lonely story. But this life is very lonely, and in real life, it's a very lonely life. Anyway.
There's a question on the right.
Hi, Hannah from Reuters. I've got a question for Colson. You said that making the film was like therapy for you. And I'm sorry, this is a really cliched question, but what do you hope that audiences take away from seeing it? And maybe do you hope that people will maybe understand you a bit better after seeing the film? Thank you.
Would I like them to understand me better? Sure, but that just seems selfish in the grand scheme of like what this film really is, which I as an actor, you always hope to land an art film, like something where you watch and you know that there's years and years ahead of this film's like impact on people. Like 10 years from now, someone could be a kid watching this and see a bit of themselves on the screen and find hope in it. I'm more hoping that people can watch it, and I'm the muse for someone to find their own inspiration and finding a will to live. You know, I've lost a lot of friends because their will wasn't strong enough to live, and I don't blame them. It's a very weird world that like sucks the daringness to push yourself, because when you do things different, people are intimidated or scared by it, and they berate you with like negativity and why, you know, and to be misunderstood is to also be like the witch burning on a stake, you know, like just because a certain town believes that something is not what they want, they think it has to be gone. So they end up getting their way a lot of times because a lot of my friends are gone. I want people to find something to hold on to. And like film is that for me. I grew up wanting to be like a lot of the actors that I saw, or like the films that I saw, or like, you know, film and music is really powerful in influencing us as human beings, you know, as culture, and as like, it becomes like, you know, to me, movies and music was my parents. That was like who I was like getting my life lessons from. So, yeah, I don't know. Can I smoke in here? Is there a lighter? Like, do you have a lighter?
Unfortunately, it's not the 70s anymore, so we don't smoke on stage anymore. I miss it too.
Okay.
I have another question to Tim. I would like to talk about this scene where Colson is going into this murderous kid's room and comes back and sees the poster of himself. It was a kind of turning point for me in his character, or in this dramatical art of the character. Can you say something about that?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that scene provides a mirror for him, and that mirror is not a clean mirror. It's cracked. It's a darker reflection that he sees. It's warped. But I think that's what you see when you are in a state of disarray. It's like an anorexic looking in the mirror and seeing a fat person. And I think he sees that, and that's what sends him into rock bottom. You know, I think it starts that scene in the early part of the movie, when the kid does what he does. You know, we wanted also people to think that that was a flashback in Colson's life. So the idea is that it's creating this sense of fertile ground for the viewer to kind of wonder, and then when you get to it, to kind of when you get to him realizing what it is, to kind of understand how dark he feels at that moment, how helpless he feels at that moment, and yet that darkness and that helplessness, which sends him on this crazy bender, is also what allows him to find his muse at the end. So it's the beginning of the end of the beginning, in a way, you know? Because the movie is not, the movie is a tragedy, but it's not a tragedy. And this is something that Colson and I said right from the beginning. It's like we had to boil the movie down to one word, and the word was transcendence. And I think that's what that moment actually starts. It just, you have to go to the bottom to see the sky, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful word for the movie, transcendence, that's true. I have another question for Colson. There's this scene where you are freestyling with a lot of other musicians in the studio, which was also very impressive, and I suppose it was really freestyle there. I mean, you can only freestyle in a free way, can't you?
Yeah, that scene's interesting because me and the rapper who was in the scene, his name's Lil TJ, he and I had never met before, and Tim came back and he was like, do you guys want to meet and talk about the scene before? And I was like, no. And he just yelled action, and I walked in and we met for the first time on screen, and I'm 100% sure that they didn't know that we were filming and that we were all just in a real studio session, which is why that session was so authentic feeling. I actually have never seen I've watched every music movie that exists. I've never seen something that felt like such a real creation moment, and that's because it was all just being created on the spot. The beat was made on the spot. It was completely unplanned. All the words were freestyle. He was phenomenal because I was in the mentality already of knowing what we had to do, but he had no idea, and he like completely killed the assignment. Like he knew, he freestyled, his acting was great. I mean, that scene blows my mind because there was no script. It was just like, when we'd never even met, it was just like go in there and meet. Same with me and the record producer in that movie. He's played by Scoot. He and I didn't meet either. We met on screen, and the first thing we did was argue on screen, and that was a real argument, even though we didn't use it in the movie, but that was how we started our relationship.
Colson was really mean to Scoot.
Sure.
But you know, in a method way, and not in a just being mean way, but in a way that he didn't want this guy around him. He didn't want him telling him what to do. He didn't think he had the same authenticity, and that is part of their character's, relationship. I do want to mention the little TJ thing is a perfect example of Colson saying, it can't be fake. It can't be fake. Because if you sniff one moment of director in that, or writer in that, the movie doesn't work. And so that's a moment in the movie where we all experienced pure joy on screen and behind the camera at the same time. And it shows that this guy is just looking for his creative process. And when he finds it, it's so beautiful. And that's what the scene is about.
Thank you. Do you have any more questions?
It's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. Look at you.
You guys are cuddling.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was a classy ringtone. I liked it.
Okay. If you don't have any more questions, I would like to say again how impressive I found you all in this film. Thank you very much for bringing it here. I wish you all the best with it. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks very much.
Thank